Oh, that's the wrong camera. See, I'm not dialed in.
That's fair.
You know, I wasn't anticipating recording right now. But here we are.
We're here.
I was gonna make a whole bit. Now it's just. Hello, my name is Fred Stewart. Welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host.
It's me. It's Taylor. Hello.
What's up, dude?
What's up?
Up top. Nice.
I'm surprised you actually high-fived me. I thought you were not going to.
I'm literally never not high-fived you.
That's a fucking lie.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's on camera.
I don't want to fight in front of the kids. All right. Now, children, when mom and dad get a divorce, just know it's your fault.
No. 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 I'm just gonna interrupt everything.
It is, but say.
Yeah.
I don't have any news stories particularly. Except for the fact of a celebrity Russian spy whale spotted with harness found dead in Norwegian waters.
Oh.
Apparently the Russians were using a beluga whale to spy on the Norwegians.
Oh.
And it's dead.
I didn't realize there was like a reason to spy on Norway.
Yeah, what is there in Norway that they want to spy on?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, they were spying on Norway.
What is Norway? No, let's try that again. What is Norway known for?
Being Norway.
This podcast is going downhill.
I don't know really much of anything about Norway.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they it was the whale's name, beluga's name was Vladimir, named after the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and they were seen lifting it out of the water. Go examine it, and I assume that this beluga whale.
Why are you?
I don't know, dude. Like conspiracies going on right now.
I don't think beluga whale.
I don't think this beluga whale even exists. I don't think it even existed.
What did they pull out of the water then?
Yeah. That's what I want to find out. That's what we're going to find out today.
It's definitely not.
That's not at all what we're talking about. Instead, we are diving into a topic that is very convoluted. There's
a lot. There's a lot with it.
Yeah. Taylor was like, I have this episode idea or this episode idea. And I was like, I like the first one. She's like, cool. I'm already writing the second one. And I'm like, I mean, the second one's cool. I think it's cool. I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
If you're over the age of 55, you like Werther's Originals, or you just smoke a lot of weed. Because, listen, when a whole town disappears, whole village disappears,
yeah,
you got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know? And going forward, over fucking 200 years later, you know? Still got questions, dude. Now, there's somebody out there right now that's listening to this. Just hit a fucking fat rip off their pen, dude.
It's been more than 200.
They're geeking, whatever, dude. And they're geeking, you know? Right now, dude. They're like, dude, what fucking happened in Roanoke, dude? Like, what happened? You know?
Yeah.
And it's me. I'm that person.
That's fair.
Except instead of hitting the marijuana pen, I have a slightly room temperature beer. We're talking about Roanoke.
We are.
Now, for those of you who do not know what Roanoke is, if you're not from the United States, Roanoke,
you'll find out.
It's a place. Or was it?
It definitely was a place.
Okay. Listen, it was a place. Allegedly. And listen, you know?
I'm listening.
We'll get into some theories, but I think I know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will be interested to hear what you think happened? Because I don't know if it'll be on the list because I feel like it's going to be pretty out there.
I think. Just immediately to sidetrack the episode. Taylor.
Yes.
Please tell us the story of the Roanoke Colony.
Yeah. Colony is a good term. So, okay. If you hear the dog down there, she's asleep and kicking things. So the Outer Banks of the United States were kind of explored in 1524 by Giovanni di Verrazzano, who mistook the Pamlico Sound for the Pacific Ocean and then concluded that the barrier islands were isthmus, which they were not, and recognized this as a potential shortcut to China, as they do. They were wrong.
Yeah, it turns out there's a whole lot of like land and shit in the way.
Crazy.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. So he had presented his findings at the time to King Francis the First of France, and King Henry the. Hold on.
Oh, you're reading
8.
Roman numeral? Oh,
Yeah.
No, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how you went, hold on, and you started counting.
Well, yeah, because V is 5, and then 1, 2, 3, and I just had to double check.
Brady champ.
Mm-hmm.
Hair tussle.
We both know I'm really smart on this podcast.
We do?
I've definitely never had an issue. At the time, neither of them pursued the matter, but in 1578, Queen Elizabeth I granted a charter to Sir Humphrey Gilbert to explore and colonize territories unclaimed by Christian kingdoms.
Sir Humphrey Gilbert?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a man who is half egg, you know? Like it sounds like a man who carries comically large pies and trips over his own feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I'm Sir Humphrey Gilbert. Oh no, my pie! And then he gets sepsis and he died. So that
tracks for the time.
Tracks for the time.
Gilbert had helped to crush the first of the Desmond rebellions in Ireland's Munster province in the early 1570s. The terms of this charter granted by the Queen were pretty vague, although Gilbert understood it to give him rights to all territories in the New World north of Spanish Florida. So, above Florida and up is his. Is what he took it to mean.
Yeah, do you think the Margaritaville was already there?
Yeah.
When the Spanish there?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was.
The Spanish get there and they're like, these beaches. Bring forth Sir King Jimmy Buffet to build his finest. I don't know why I'm British. Bring his finest Margaritaville.
They were
You know-
Spaniards, so.
You know what I think, Francisco? Looking over this beautiful water?
Huh.
I think this area is where people from north over the age of 65 will come to die. I think this is a place.
I think
Mm-hmm.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I also don't have a watch. I don't have a watch in this time.
There's not watches.
No, if I look at the sun for too long, I die. So I can't.
I still don't know how to tell time by looking at the sun. I'm just like, oh, sun's in the sky. It's daytime.
Well, what you do is yes, nicely.
So led by Gilbert, the English briefly claimed St. John's, Newfoundland, in 1583 as the first English territory in North America at the royal prerogative of Queen Elizabeth I. But Gilbert got lost at sea on his return journey to England. So,
And he's up there and now in British heaven having unseasoned food and tripping over pies, you know?
yeah. Following Gilbert's death in 1583, they assume he died because he got lost at sea.
The map quest said take a left past the big giant thing of water, and it's all water. They're like, what the fuck is MapQuest? Waze said, go this way, go past the island.
There's like 3 islands.
Now, Gilbert, we're going to crash here at sea. Well, we have 2 choices. We can go to the island of unknown plagues, or go to the island of unknown plagues and possibly huge pie.
I think we're going to the one with the pie.
It's the same island.
Wow. I can't believe you did this to me.
Can't believe you did this to me. I'll never forgive you.
So, following Gilbert's death in 1583, Queen Elizabeth divided the charter between his brother, Adrian Gilbert, and his half-brother, Sir Walter Raleigh. Adrian's charter gave him the patent on Newfoundland and all points north, where geographers expected to eventually find a long-sought northwest passage to Asia. There's not one, but they thought there was going to be one.
Yes, see, I traveled to this area that is basically unnamed at this time, but but we have a place named Flowrider, something like that, and we believe it cuts through, can cut into China quickly through there, but we have to go through this area, this cesspit of an area called Mississippi, and what was really strange is when we were traveling through this Mississippi, there was no people, but I swear I kept hearing banjo music.
I don't even know what a banjo is.
Well, there's a man on the ship. His name is Banjo.
Ah.
Yes. He plays a guitar. Now.
So. Raleigh was awarded the lands to the south, though much of it was already claimed by Spain, so he kind of got the short end of the charter stick there. They were like, you get all the stuff north, and then you go deal with Spain. Good luck. That's always worked out really well.
And Spain's always been, especially around this time, we're just sweethearts.
So was England.
Like, come on.
They really got along really, really well.
Yeah.
Spain and England.
I don't think anything ever happened between them.
I think they were best friends.
Yeah. They're like, you guys like fucking killing people for no reason? We like killing people for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know these people will hear it first, but
it's mine now.
It's got a Margaritaville, dude.
So Richard Hakluyt, however, had by this time taken notice of Verrazano's Isthmus, located within Raleigh's claim, and was campaigning for England to capitalize on the opportunity. Raleigh's charter, issued on March 25th of 1584, specified that he needed to establish a colony by 1591 or lose his right to colonization. So he was on a little bit of a time crunch, just a couple years. He was to discover, search, find out, and view such, quote, heathen and barbarous lands, countries, and territories to have, hold, occupy, and enjoy.
And honestly, Florida is that. Heathenistic lands, barbaric. That sounds like the East Coast. I mean, I'm just,
The day Raleigh has to encounter Florida man,
yeah,
he's done.
Like they land, their ship lands like right at the water, just like at the tip of like northern Florida.
Yeah.
And they get off. And some dude comes out, he's like, well, listen, I got a gator, and he's like 40 feet long. You want to come see it? You're like,
so where's your clothes?
also, what?
Yeah, there's like giant snakes here that fucking eat people. Okay, I think we're gonna go a little further
we're gonna
north.
go up.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go.
I think up is the way to go.
It was expected Raleigh would establish a base from which to send privateers on raids against treasure fleets of Spain. Despite the broad powers granted to Raleigh, he was forbidden to leave the Queen's side. Instead of personally leading voyages to the Americas, he delegated the missions to his associates and oversaw operations from London.
So is he piping the Queen, or like how did that work?
It's possible.
He's like, Your Majesty, I must go. I must go and explore this unexplored place.
No. You heard him, boys.
Yeah. You beat me to my own bit. I'm like, she said no, guys. She said, yeah, I wanted to come, but she
Also,
said, like, now, Queen Elizabeth, may I go? Just, yeah, may I go?
No.
Yes. You're ruining the bit. Never mind, the bit's over and done with. That was way funny. I was hoping you were going to say yes, and then I was going to do the whole bit of like, Queen said no. Like, hey, say, listen, can I go? Please say no. Like, I don't want to get lost at sea. I've seen so much of the gut. Listen, you know what the people say, become a sailor, go see the ocean. Go explore the world.
Yeah.
You know what the ocean is? Water. And around this time, it was like, do you want to be on a boat with around 50 men? Probably like 30, 40 men. Where you guys are just like, you wake up in the middle of the night to go piss, so you just stand up. And hoping that your bunkmate down below didn't shit all over. That's what it meant to be a sailor back then.
Yes. I also like that they were like, you need to start a colony, but you're not going over there to start the colony. You're going to stay here and start the colony over there. Is like the worst manager who like is never there.
Listen, I need you to do this task. I don't care who does it, but you got to make sure it gets done.
Otherwise, I'm taking everything away from you.
Well, at least I'll live to a ripe old age of 35.
Raleigh quickly arranged an expedition to explore his claim of land. It departed England on April 27th, 1584.
The day before my birthday. I was born in 1585.
The fleet consisted of 2 barks. Philip Amadeus was the captain of the larger vessel, with Simon Fernandez as pilot, while Arthur Barlow was in command of the other one. There are indications that Thomas Harriot and John White may have participated in the voyage, but no records survive that directly confirm that they were involved.
I don't know who these people are. Listen, you're name dropping people. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't fucking know who these people are.
Those names do pop up later as well.
Doesn't answer my question.
They were old-timey people.
Wow. Never would have guessed in a story from 1584.
This is what he looks like.
Why is he so wide?
Well, it's because he was an astronomer, mathematician, ethnographer.
That's Thomas Harriot.
And yeah, that's what he looks like. Oh, that's a portrait often claimed to be him. They don't know.
Oh, they don't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, when you're doing my portrait, make sure to give me 6-pack abs, and I'm holding 2 cannons in my arms, like both arms holding 2 cannons, and I'm standing on top of a shark.
No, you're gonna be holding an apple.
Fuck.
And then John White was the mayor of the Lost Colony.
Oh, okay.
So, the expedition employed a standard route for transatlantic voyages, sailing south to catch trade winds, which carried them westward to the West Indies, where they collected fresh water. The 2 ships then sailed north until July 4th, where they sighted land at what is now called Cape Fear. Which is, honest to God,
that's
a pretty cool name.
It's a cool name, but also
it's probably got that name for a reason, right?
It's very funny to me that it's called Cape Fear, because here in the Northwest we have Cape Disappointment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is funny because Cape Fear, they're like, They're like, this place is beautiful. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, it's like, I mean, I just thought it'd be more, there'd be like more stuff. It's just,
There's
I mean,
beach.
it's yeah, but I mean, it's not,
There's a store.
and they're like, it's beautiful here, but they're like, oh my God, fine, it's Cape Disappointment.
The fleet made landfall on July 13th at an inlet north of Hatteras Island, which was named Port Fernando after Fernandez, who discovered it. The Native Americans in the region had likely encountered or at least observed Europeans from previous expeditions. The Secotan, who controlled Roanoke Island in the mainland between Albemarle Sound and Pamlico River, soon made contact with the English, and they did establish friendly relations. The Secotan chieftain, Wingina, had recently been injured in a war with the Pamlico, so his brother, I don't know how to say that, Granjani Animeo?
Grangenimo? I'm not quite sure. I'm sure we're butchering it.
I am so sorry.
I can't really see that far because my prescription's out of date.
That one. It's a very unique
Yes.
name that I've never seen before, so I don't know how to say it. But his brother had represented the tribe in his place, and upon their return in England in autumn of 1584, Amadas and Barlow spoke words are really hard for me. Spoke highly of the tribe's hospitality and the strategic location of Roanoke. They brought back 2 natives, and then one was a Croatoan, and then one was a Secotan. The expedition reports described the region as pleasant and bountiful land, alluding to the Golden Age and the Garden of Eden. So they're really hyping it up. They're like, dude, the Garden of Eden? It's like that, but better.
Yeah, it's like the Garden Eden, but like with like monster trucks and like boobs. It's like dude.
Garden of Eden had that too.
Garden of Eden monster trucks?
No. No.
Oh.
The other. Your other.
What?
They're really hyping this place up. They even say these accounts may have been embellished by Raleigh. Queen Elizabeth obviously was impressed because she's like, the Garden of Eden? The Golden Age? Fuck yeah, brother, I'm gonna send people there. She said it exactly like that.
Yeah, she was Queen Elizabeth I was like, dude, you gotta hear this fucking dude, I sent his ass over there, and he came back, and he was like, it's like the fucking Garden of Eden. And I was like, bro, hook it up. Let's fucking send some people there, dude. Let's get this shit fucking rolling, dude. And I was like, bro, honestly, dude, if the vibes are like that, dude, we're rolling. We're rolling deep right now, dude. I'm out there. Someone bring me my coat.
Obviously, she was very impressed by the result of Raleigh's expedition, and in 1585, during a ceremony to knight Raleigh, she proclaimed the land granted to him, Virginia, and proclaimed him Knight Lord and Governor of Virginia.
Oh, dude, Knight Lord is fucking cool, dude. That's like a dude who just Knight Lord sounds like a superhero name, but in reality, Knight Lord's a dude who doesn't wear deodorant and stands way too close to you at a record shop. My friends call me Knight Lord. Like, I bet
He's got his Magic the Gathering cards in hand.
You leave Magic the Gathering alone.
They're sticky though.
For a reason.
For him.
I get the ones that are kind of more sensual. Never mind. I'm going to leave that thought where it is.
Sir Walter Raleigh proceeded to seek investors to fund a colony. For the first colony in Virginia, Raleigh planned a largely military operation focused on exploration and evaluation of natural resources. The intended number of colonists was 69.
Nice.
But approximately 600 men were sent in the voyage.
Well, dude, when your queen is coming to you, you know, and you're a military dude and you're just kind of just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe you guys are like poking at like a pile of horseshit with a sword, and the queen comes out on her balcony overlooking everything. She's like, "Hey, bros, you're not gonna believe this. Dude said it was like the frickin' Garden of Eden.
Well,
You guys wanna go?" Originally, I was gonna be like, send 69, because you know. Yeah, and it's named after my second most beloved thing. Well, it's kind of mispronounced because I said one thing and they heard another, but it's now Virginia. But you get it. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So half were intended to remain at the colony and to be followed by a second wave later. Ralph Lane was appointed governor of the colony, and Philip Amadas would serve as admiral. Although the fleet commander, Sir Richard Grenville, led the overall mission. Civilian attendants included Joachim Gans, a metallurgist, Thomas Harriot, a scientist, and John White, who was an artist. Menteo and Wanchese, which are Chez, are the two Native Americans that they brought with them, returned home from their visit to England and were also passengers on the voyage. The fleet consisted of 7 ships. The Tiger, the Flyboat, with the Flyboat Roebuck, Red Lion, Elizabeth, Dorothy, and then 2 small pinnaces? A ship's boat. I don't fucking know. Words are really hard for me to read.
Panachas? What the fuck is a panachas?
I don't know. Pinnaches.
I don't know.
Pinnaches?
Listen, you're asking the wrong dude about boats. You want to know about planes? I got you.
I will say, though, a ship just called Tiger is pretty cool.
Yeah.
They got some cool names.
It's the only ship in the fleet with racing stripes on the sides and flames, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. Flames and racing stripes?
Yeah, I want to be on that one.
It's the slowest boat in the fleet.
You don't want to be on that one, because on April 9th of 1585, the fleet departed Plymouth, heading south towards the Bay of Biscay, and a severe storm off the coast of Portugal separated Tiger from the rest of the fleet and sunk one of the ship boats, the little pinnaces. Fortunately, Fernandez had a plan for such an occurrence, wherein the ship would meet up at Mosquedal on the south coast of Puerto Rico. Proceeding alone, Tiger made good speed for the Caribbean, arriving at the rendezvous point on May 11th, ahead of the other ships. They booked it. They said, "I don't know where everyone went.
Well,
we gotta fucking go."
Now, I say I'm the captain of the Tiger and you're the captain of the Red Mayfly or whatever your fucking boat
Roebuck?
is. Whatever. Who cares? And listen, you know, Captain, you know the mistake that you made that I didn't make?
What?
Is that I saw the giant cloud of death that was coming towards us, signaling a storm.
Yeah.
And I went past it.
What?
I just kept going instead of hanging out and pointing at it. What is that? You know, like that's not going to help you. Also, everybody was standing behind the sails going, and
that really helped.
Yeah, when you have,
I'll use that tactic for next time.
Yeah, when you have 100 people on a boat doing that at once, it doesn't make a difference, but it sure is really funny.
While awaiting the fleet, Grenville established a base camp where his crew could rest and defend themselves from Spanish forces. Lane's men used the opportunity as practice for building the fortifications. that would be needed for the new colony. The crew also set about replacing the lost pinnace, forging nails, and sawing local lumber to construct a new ship. The Elizabeth arrived on May 19th, shortly after the completion of the fort and the ship. And the remainder of the fleet never arrived. So they got 2 ships. They got the Tiger and they got the Elizabeth. Nothing else made it through.
I'm sure they're fine. they're honestly,
I'm sure they had a really good time. They went to stop for like a little party and then just lost track of time.
You know, maybe they hit traffic on the way.
Listen, people sometimes hit traffic in the middle of the ocean.
It happens. It does happen. Yeah. No, they probably all just died horrible deaths out in the sea, and they probably drowned as their ship sank, and they were trapped inside where their souls are condemned to darkness forever. Or they're at a party.
Yeah. So at least one of the ships encountered difficulties near Jamaica and ran out of supplies, causing its captain to send 20 of his crew ashore. Eventually, Roebuck, Red Lion, and Dorothy continued to the Outer Banks and arrived by mid-June. So they did eventually make it. Eventually. They got a little caught up. They were just having a good party. I'm sure. So Red Lion left about 30 men on Croatoan Island and departed for privateering in Newfoundland. In the meantime, Grenville established contact with the local Spanish authorities in hopes of obtaining fresh provisions. When the Spanish failed to deliver the promised supplies, Grenville suspected that they would soon attack, which is crazy. They've never done that. So he and his ships abandoned the temporary fort.
Now, listen, I have an idea. I believe the Spanish are on the way to attack.
Yeah.
And listen, we have all this manpower, we have weaponry. I have an idea.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave.
I like that.
We're just gonna leave.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave. And listen, honestly, pretty rude on you, Spanish, for not for lying, being little fibbers on that. You know.
Of course.
Shake my finger at you, Spanish. Being little fibbers and lying. Like, because the English and Spanish are totally friends.
Yeah.
And I just imagine them being like, hey, listen, we just need some supplies. You guys could, we'd be happy to pay or, give you something in return for it. And the Spanish are like,
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to come back and
actually, you know what? We'll deliver.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, we'll deliver. We're not gonna give him shit, right? We're not gonna fucking do that.
Oh, never.
Yeah, well, duh.
Obviously. Duh. Why'd you even ask?
Want to get another drink of the Margaritaville?
So Grenville captured.
Oh,
hello. Batteries might be dying. There we go. Grenville captured 2 Spanish ships in the Mona Passage, adding them to his fleet. Lane took one of these ships to Salinas Bay, where he captured salt mounds collected by the Spanish. He said, "You're not going to give me food? I'm going to take your fucking salt. Get fucked."
And honestly, let's be real. What are the British even going to do with seasoning?
They're going to use a lot of salt, and that's it.
Yeah. I know a lot of it at the time was used to help preserve meat and stuff like that. They would, hold it in salt, but that's about as far as they went with seasoning. So,
Grenville's ships then sailed to La Isabela, where the Spanish set aside hostilities to trade with the well-armed English fleet. On June 7th, Grenville left Hispaniola to continue to the Outer Banks. The fleet sailed through an inlet at Wokokan Island on June 26th. The Tiger struck a shoal, ruining most of the food supplies and nearly destroying the ship. So, sounds really great. There are indications that Grenville's fleet was supposed to spend the winter with the new colony, perhaps to immediately begin using it as a privateering base. The wreck of the Tiger, however, made that impossible. The The remaining provisions could not support a settlement as large as had been planned. Moreover, the shallow inlets of the Outer Banks made the region unsuitable as a base for large ships. The colony's top priority would now be to locate a better harbor. After repairs, the Tiger continued with the rest of the fleet to Port Ferdinando, where they reunited with Roebuck and Dorothy. The men left behind by Red Lion were presumably also located during this time, and on August 5th, John Arundel took command of one of the faster vessels and set sail for England to report safe arrival. However, the loss of provisions from the Tiger meant that the colony would support far fewer settlers than they had originally planned. They sent a whole 600 men, and Grenville decided that only about 100 would be staying. So, you imagine you're one of the, 500 where they're like, we get to go to the fucking Garden of Eden, dude. We get to go. And then they're like...
I heard the Garden of Eden is beautiful. I heard it's...
I agree.
Quite the thing.
And then they're just like, listen, you gotta go home.
But I sold off my only goat. That was my wife. Huh? What am I supposed to do now?
Listen, maybe you can buy the goat back. But see, listen, the thing is you lost rock, paper, scissors, which definitely totally exists.
That's also not even close to being fair, because I lost both of my fucking hands during the storm when I tried to grab onto the rope, and my hands remember my hands went like, pew, and they were gone?
Yeah.
I can only do rock. That's not fair.
You lost rock, paper, scissors. I don't know what
you kept doing paper. I can't do paper.
I don't know, man. You lost fair and square.
Great.
So you're going home. Maybe you can buy your wife back.
My goat will never look at me the same.
So that would be 100 men would be enough to fill the colony's objectives until another fleet scheduled to leave England in June of 1585 could deliver a second wave of colonists and supplies. However, Grenville did not know this expedition was redirected to Newfoundland, so they're not getting colonists or supplies. And so, yeah, they've been redirected to Newfoundland to alert fishing fleets that the Spanish had begun seizing English commercial vessels in retaliation for attacks by English privateers, which would never happen. The English never do that. Until a resupply mission could be arranged, Lane's colony would be heavily dependent on the generosity of the natives. While the Tiger was under repair, Grenville organized an expedition to explore Pamlico Sound and the Secotan villages. His party made contact with the locals, presenting Harriet and White with an opportunity to extensively study Native American society, although a lot of their research did not survive the 1586 evacuation that we'll talk about. Harriet's extensive survey of Virginia's inhabitants and natural resources was published in 1588, and then White had some illustrations included in a 1590 edition. Following this initial exploration, a silver cup was reported missing. So, people are stealing. Not so great.
Listen. It happens. What was missing again?
A silver cup.
People are probably starving. Probably very hungry.
But that silver cup is missing.
Meanwhile, the one dude is like super fat and very overweight. He's like eating all the local wildlife. And he's like, my cup is missing. And they're like, please, don't think that has food. He's like, nobody's leaving here alive if I don't get my fucking cup back. And they're like, we're not gonna leave alive anyway.
So believing the item was stolen, Grenville sent Amadas to lead a detachment back to one of the places that they had been exploring to demand the return of the missing property. They went back to...
It's a cup.
Yeah, no, he decided, you know what? Fuck them. I want my cup back.
Not that deep, you know?
It's a singular cup. Mm-hmm.
Be like, So Taylor.
Yeah.
I have reason to believe that the last location we were at with the colony has my cup. I might have misplaced it. I might have put it down.
Okay.
I have some orders for you. Okay. I want you to go into there, and I want you can kill whoever you like, but you just kill them all. In fact, if you want, I just want the cup back. Can you do that for me?
Just a cup?
Can you kill for a cup, please?
Sure.
What would you do for a silver cup?
This is the worst version of what would you do for a Klondike bar.
Cannibalism. No.
So Amadas led a detachment back. It was like, give me the cup. And when the villagers did not produce the cup, the English decided that severe retribution was necessary. I'm so glad they are not going to overreact.
I'm glad no one in the story has overreacted. You know?
They're doing a really good job at keeping their cool.
They're like scratching their head. They're like, how the fuck are we gonna like farm? Like, I think we probably like there's a stream, so we could probably do that. And some guy just rolls up and he's like, go ahead, ask for the cup.
Give me the cup.
What cup? And then meanwhile the other guy's like, kill him! Bring me his head. I want to wear his face as my face and go home to his family as him.
So yeah, they decided that severe retribution was necessary in order to avoid appearing weak. So in classic English fashion, Amadas and his men burned down the entire town and its crops, sending the natives fleeing.
The very same people who assist them when they first arrive.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see they're really good at making friends and keeping friends.
What if the guy originally was just, I don't know, drunk, and then he was like, they're hanging out with all these lovely individuals who are helping these men from distant lands, and they're just like, hey man, you're pretty cool, keep my cup.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, it's fine, I'll just put it right here. Like, you take that with you. You know, it's like we actually accidentally like Tupperware at somebody's house.
Yeah.
You know?
You're like, it's okay, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. And then you get home and you're like, I need to put my fucking lasagna in this. You know?
See, the difference between that and what the English did is that I don't go back to their house and burn it down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's as a general rule of thumb, that's usually a pretty bad take. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
you imagine they get back and he's like, guys, I found my cup.
Why are you guys all upset? What happened?
I totally sent you back.
What?
Totally sent you back there for no reason, but I'm sure it went over really well. They just explained.
Listen, I honestly just said, go down there, see if I left my cup there. If I did it, I didn't leave it there. And turns out,
I didn't leave it there.
Turns out it was in my pocket all along. Yeah, classic me. Classic. You know what happens time and time again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are they? That's fucking horrible, though. That's so fucking scary.
Yeah, the fact that they were like over a singular cup.
Over a cup. Yeah, and it wasn't like, like it's fucking absurd to me because like these natives help them.
Yes.
And then they were like, oh, our friends are coming back.
Yeah,
like our
they
friends from
probably-
distant lands come back and they're like, get a cup, and they're like, a cup, and they're like, you're fucking dead.
Not only like
like,
acknowledging
what?
the fact they do not speak the same language.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously going to be
A language barrier?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck is a cup?
Yeah.
And they're like, they're like, I don't fucking know what that means.
And meanwhile, one of the guys is like, I did the same thing recently, but I did like this drink, and they're like, no, we don't want gold, and they're like the language barrier is insane. But they just went down. They're like, you guys got a cup, and they're like, huh?
What?
And they're like, no, I guess everybody's gonna die. It's like, what?
Excuse me?
Yeah. And I think that this is the start to the downfall
Yeah.
of Roanoke.
Yeah.
I think this has a big part to it, in my belief.
I would not disagree. So Manteo arranged a meeting for Grenville and Lane with the brother for the Senteco tribe that was taken over. They wanted to provide land for the English settlement on Roanoke Island. Both sides agreed that the island was strategically located for access to the ocean and to avoid detection from Spanish patrols. So Lane began construction of a fort on the north side of the island. There are no surviving renderings of this fort, but it was probably pretty similar to the one that had been built originally before they fled. Grenville set sail for England aboard the Tiger on August 25th of 1585. Days later, in Bermuda, Grenville raided a large Spanish galleon. As you do. Which was the Santa Maria de San Vincent, which had become separated from the rest of its fleet. The merchant ship, which Grenville took back to England as a prize, was loaded with enough treasure to make sure the entire Roanoke expedition was profitable, spurring excitement in Queen Elizabeth's court about Raleigh's colonization efforts. The Roebuck left Roanoke on September 8th of 1585, leaving behind one of the small ships under the command of Amadas. Records indicate that 107 men remained with Lane at the colony. However, there's a lot of people who disagree on whether White had returned to England with Grenville or spent the winter at Roanoke. Because the list of colonists, he wasn't on it. But he could have been there. They don't fucking know. Many of the colonists had joined the mission expecting to discover sources of gold and silver. When no such sources were located, the men became dispirited and decided their entire operation was a waste of time. They said, there's no silver or gold. Why the fuck did we come out here then? I thought this was the Garden of Eden.
I was going to do a whole bit about the Queen again. You know, Queen Elizabeth, and do like, bros, look at there's so much gold there. I've done it 3 times already, but to be fair, it is still really funny to think about. Where it'd be like, somebody were like, bros, listen, it's the freaking Garden of Eden. And the one dude's like, is there gold in there? And she's like, yeah. And that one dude shows up like, can I bring my 1 silver cup? And they're like, she's like, sure. Don't fucking lose it. Don't put it in your pocket like you did last week.
They're like, is there gold? Will it make you say yes? Yeah. Then yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Some of you may die to the trip to the far lands, and that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Some of you may look for and possibly find gold. You won't, but you possibly might find gold.
The English also researched where local Native Americans obtained their copper but were never able to track the metal to its origin. So colonists spent the autumn of 1585 acquiring corn from neighboring villages to augment their limited supplies. The colony obtained enough corn along with venison, fish, and oysters to sustain them through winter. Little information survives, however, about what transpired between September 1585 to March of 1586, making a full assessment of winter pretty impossible to decipher.
Now, listen. God gave, if you believe in God, if, the whole thing of created mankind in his image, that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Now, and they have all the knowledge and tools they need. And us as humans, naturally, we have the tools that we need to learn how to survive, especially in the toughest environments. Take, for example, the rugby team that crashed in the Andes, the Donner Party, stuff like that. That's how you survive the winter.
You're just bringing up cannibalism.
Listen, it's food.
So the colonists most likely exhausted their English provisions and American corn by October, resulting in the monotony of the remaining food sources, no doubt contributing to low morale. Amadas spent the entire winter exploring Chesapeake Bay, traveling as far as Cape Henry and the James River. While his party made contact with the Chesapeake villages, and the Secretans had described one of them as the largest city in the region, leading the English to expect something like the wealthy Inca or Aztec kingdoms that had been encountered by the Spanish. Amadas instead found a more modest settlement, though he was impressed with the climate and the soil quality. He just reached out and was like, this is some good fucking soil.
Fucking soil. I tried following it up with your bit. I was gonna just go ahead and hop on the same bit with you, but then you started slurping, and that caught me off guard. Like, see this fucking soil right here? Pure. Like he's eating it? What the fuck? Is that your whole bit? Is that he was like
eating dirt?
They're like, no, sir, I believe the soil here is good. And he's like, cool. Starts fucking eating it. And they're like, no. And you're like, well, it's the garden. Sorry, there's a little mud in my mouth. There's a garden of Eden, right? You're supposed to be able to eat whatever. Like, I don't think that was ever a part of the Garden of Eden. I don't think everything in the Garden of Eden is like, it's edible. I don't think it's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. I think it's like gardens have like dirt and stuff. I don't think. I don't know. I think I'm ready for a second bite.
Harry and Gons explored the Virginia territory. They met Native American tribes in taking stock of natural resources. During his travels, Harriet and his assistants collected data that would eventually be used to produce White's La Virginia Pars map. Although the 16th century science could not explain the phenomenon, Harriet noticed quickly that each town that the colonists visited quickly suffered a deadly epidemic, which may have been influenza or smallpox. So Harriet's like, you know what's really fucking weird, guys? Every town we visit, they get sick. I don't know what it could be.
I think we're cursed. I think there's a curse following us. Now, I'm trying to think, what could we have done to inhibit a curse upon us?
I have an idea. Do you remember that town that we like set on fire?
Jacksonville, Florida?
Yeah.
No.
You don't remember it? We set a whole town on fire.
Can't say I do.
I just like how he's like, he couldn't explain the phenomenon. That they all got very sick after being visited.
Now, let's see. What did we do? What was the last time we visited? What did we do? That's right. We gave everyone the blankets that we sneeze, come on, shit on, and piss on. We gave them to them. I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else we did. I remember one blanket we gave was just covered in blood, and like it was dripping with blood. No, it's got to be a curse, right?
Yeah. So some of the Secatan suspected the disease was caused by supernatural forces unleashed by the English. And when Wingina fell sick, his own people could not treat him, but he recovered after requesting prayers from the English. Impressed, he asked colonists to share this power with other stricken communities, which only hastened the spread of disease. And the epidemic most likely had a severe impact on the fall harvest at a time when Lane's colony would be heavily dependent on its neighbors to supply limited food. By spring, relations between Secatan and the colony were strained, most likely due to the colony's over-reliance on the Secatans' food. The death of a powerful advocate for the colony had apparently helped to turn Wingina against the English, and he ended up changing his name to Pamisapan, which is the one who watches, suggesting a newly cautious and vigilant policy, and established a new temporary tribal capital on Roanoke Island. So, the English kind of like took too much. They kept taking and taking and taking, and they were tired of it.
I can't imagine why.
They're like, listen, we grow enough to support our group.
Oh, yeah.
Now we gotta support you guys too. Fucking learn how to grow something.
I see that you're eating that corn there. Are you eating that corn?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Spirit said, don't take the corn.
Don't take the corn. Yeah. Their England's like, I'll fucking take it.
Was that scary? Yeah, they didn't really like that.
Yeah, no surprise.
The English did not initially recognize that these developments represented a threat to their interests. In March, Lane consulted the leader about a plan to explore the mainland beyond Secatan territory. He supported the plan and advised Lane that the Roanoke leader, Menatonon, was meeting with his allies to plan an attack on the English, and that 3,000 warriors had gathered there. At the same time, he sent word to Menatonon that the English would be coming, ensuring that both sides expected hostility.
Now,
so he's got a hand on both moving parts and said, hey, the English are coming. Hey, they're going to attack you when you get there.
Great. Now, Spirit, how does that make you feel?
Not great. She don't like.
Spirit says, man, make peace, not war. Unless war is really cool. Okay.
Unless war has ball.
Does war have ball?
Is he got a ball? Is he got a ball? She's like, oh my god. You're saying my favorite word right now.
Yes, but I believe that, whether there is more to come, but I believe there is something afoot already starting.
Yeah, no,
in the Roanoke Colony.
He's already pretty tired of the English, so he said, if I just tell them that they're gonna attack when they get there, and then I tell them that the English are coming, no one's gonna have a good time, and then they stop eating our fucking corn. What do you guys think? I'm sure everyone was like, fuck yeah, dude. Go for it. Why not? Right? So When Lane's well-armed party arrived, he found representatives of the Roanoke, Mengawak, man, I am so butchering these, and I absolutely apologize. Wapemawak and Moratuk. Since this gathering was not planning an attack, Lane caught them by surprise. He easily captured Menatonin, who informed him that it was the leader of Secatan who had requested the council in the first place. He quickly gained Lane's trust by offering information about lucrative opportunities in lands the English had not yet discovered, and described a rich and powerful king to the northeast, presumably the leader of the Powhatan, warning that Lane should bring considerable force if he sought to make contact. He also corroborated rumors Lane had heard about a sea just beyond the head of the Roanoke River, apparently confirming English hopes of finding access to the Pacific Ocean. Chief's son Sakiko described a place to the west, rich in valuable metal, which Lane thought could be copper or perhaps even gold. Based on this information, Lane envisioned a detailed plan in which his forces would drive into two groups, one traveling up north and the other along the Atlantic coast to resettle in the Chesapeake Bay. However, he decided to defer this mission until the colony had received fresh supplies, which Grenville had promised would arrive by Easter. In the meantime, Lane ransomed Menatonin and had Sakiko sent back to Roanoke as a hostage. He proceeded with 40 men about 100 miles and up the Roanoke River in search of Chaidez Temotan, but they only found deserted villages and warriors lying in ambush. Lane had expected the Moratuk to provide provisions for him along his route, but Pemisapan had sent word that the English were hostile and the villagers should withdraw from the river with their food. He's really making sure the English get fucked.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really trying because he's tired of them being fucking
assholes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my bad. Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, with this, it's just absurd that the English doesn't seem to expect any of this.
Yeah, no, they're like, oh, it's crazy.
They're like, let's see, we burned down a village. We stole their food. We effectively poisoned them.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they like us?
I don't know. It's crazy.
And the worst is yet to come for the Roanoke Colony.
Yeah. Lane and his party returned to the colony shortly after Easter, half-starved and empty-handed. During their absence, rumor had spread that they'd actually been killed, and Pemisapan had been preparing to withdraw the Secatan from Roanoke Island to leave the colony to starve. So, he's still pretty tired of them. There was no sign of Grenville's resupply fleet, which had not even left England yet. According to Lane, Pemisapan was so surprised to see Lane returned alive from the Roanoke River mission that he reconsidered his plans. An elder among his council argued in favor of the English. Later, an envoy for Menatonin informed Lane that one of the leaders of the Wapemoic which was Okisko, had pledged fealty to Queen Elizabeth and Sir Walter Raleigh. This shift in the balance of power in the region further deterred Pemisipan from following through on his plans against the colony. He instead ordered his people to sow crops and finish building fishing weirs for the settlers. Why he didn't help them just grow things in the first place so that they could kind of like stop going for a plastic bottle that you somehow found. The fact that like it took so long for him to be like, maybe we should just help him like figure out how to grow corn, because like they don't grow corn up in England. So like, oh my god, it's a garbage can. It's her worst nightmare.
You can hear it in the distance.
I can just kind of hear it, and I'm like, oh god. The renewed accord between the English and the Secretariat was short-lived. On April 20th, the council member who had fought for the English had died, depriving the colony of its last advocate in Pemisipan's inner circle. Wanquise had risen to become a senior advisor, and his time among the English had convinced him that they were a threat. Pemisipan evacuated the Secretariat from Roanoke and destroyed the fishing weirs and ordered them not to sell food to the English. Left to their own devices, the English had no way to produce enough food to sustain the colony. Lane ordered his men to break up into small groups to forage and beg for food in the Outer Banks and the mainland. Lane continued to keep Sakiko as a hostage, and through Pemisipan although Pemisipan met regularly with Sakiko, he believed him to be sympathetic to the anti-English cause. Sakiko sought to honor his father's intention of maintaining relations with the colony. So Sakiko informed Lane that Pemisipan was planning to organize a war, or like a war council meeting on June 10th with various regional powers. So he was like, oh yeah, no, I fucking hate the English. And then he was like, by the way, they're gonna have a meeting.
Whose side are you on?
I'm on the side that gets me back home.
That's fair.
So with the copper that the Secretariat had gained from trading with the colony, Pemisipan was able to offer substantial inducements to the other tribes to side with him in a final offense against the English. Okisko declined to get involved, although his tribe was allowed to participate if they so chose. The plan of attack was to ambush Lane and the other key leaders as they slept at the colony, and then signal for a general attack from the rest. Based on this information, Lane sent disinformation to the Secretariat, indicating that an English fleet had arrived. So he's like, hey, guess what? Our fleet arrived. And so Pemisipan, they were basically forcing his hand.
It's just a single rowboat with like a bunch of dead corpses and like a single seagull that's alive, just picking at the corpses, and they're like, it seems our boys are here now.
We should let them know. We should let them know that they're here, so that way.
You guys are so done for when our boys wake up from their naps. Like 4 days.
They're really tired. Okay.
They smell delicious, but that's not important.
Forced to accelerate his schedule by the possibility of English reinforcements, Pemisipan gathered as many allies as he could for a meeting on May 31st. That evening, Lane attacked the warriors posted at Roanoke, hoping to prevent them from alerting the mainland from the following morning. On June 1st, Lane, his top officers, and 25 men visited under the pretense of discussing a Secretariat attempt to free Sakiko. Once they were admitted into the council, the English did what they did best. Lane gave the signal for his men to attack. There ain't no repairing any relationships.
Why do they hate us? The English is just sitting in the room like, these guys just seem to not like us. I don't get it.
Dead bodies just everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, huh. Crazy.
Yeah. Now, let's see how far you win. Can't tell.
What time?
We're in 11.
We're getting there. I'm just about halfway.
Okay. This is going to be a two-parter.
Absolutely.
But now, with everything the English has done,
Yeah.
pillaging, murder, stealing, starting to see a lot of, initially, my idea of what happened to the Roanoke Colony is a bit different now what I think now what I initially thought. I think I know what happened to the Roanoke Colony.
See, this is why we cover things, is because you can have an opinion at the start, then it changes.
Yeah. I'm starting to think that it was less of a supernatural power than I initially thought.
Well,
Sort of cryptid in the woods. But maybe.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
So, yeah, Lane gave the signal to attack, and Pemisipan was shot and fled into the woods, but Lane's men caught up to him and brought back his severed head. So, the English are just having reasonable reactions to everything. They decided to impale the head outside of the colony's fort, I assume in an attempt to say, don't fuck with us.
It's going to bring down the real estate, but,
They're keeping rent low.
Yeah. It's free.
Huh?
It's free if you murder. So, yeah, no, it's like, what the fuck are you...
There's a lot going on.
They didn't really think, did they, during this process? They were like, these people have been giving us food. We could possibly learn from them. We could possibly, build this union together and become, like a unity and help build our communities together. Or...
we can just kill them.
we could just kill them and not learn anything and then die.
Yeah. I
I like that option better.
Yeah.
She said it's the freaking Garden of Eden.
Yeah, exactly. So in June, the colonists made contact with the fleet of Sir Francis Drake on his way back to England from successful campaigns. Upon learning, so he had acquired refugees and hardware with the intent of delivering them to Raleigh's colony. Upon learning of the colony's misfortunes, Drake agreed to also leave behind 4 months of supplies and one of his ships, the Francis. However, as the East Coast does, a hurricane hit the Outer Banks, sweeping the Francis out to sea. They don't have a lot of luck going for him. After the storm, Lane persuaded his men to evacuate the colony, and Drake agreed to take them back to England. Menteo and his an associate Toway joined them. 3 of Lane's colonists were left behind and never heard from again. Because the colony was abandoned, it's unclear what came of the refugees and slaves that Drake had actually meant to place there. There's no record of them arriving in England with the fleet, so it's very possible that he left them on Roanoke. Drake's fleet, along with Lane's colonists, reached England in 1586. This is when they introduced tobacco, corn, and potatoes to England. Grenville had a detachment, which was a single supply ship sent by Raleigh that had arrived just days after Drake had evacuated the colony. They couldn't find any trace of the colonists and left, and then 2 weeks later, Grenville's relief fleet finally arrived with a year's worth of supplies and reinforcements of 400 men. So they did they had a colony, and then they realized we might have fucked up, and they left. But literally 2 weeks after they left, the ship came and was like, hey, we got things.
Hey guys, we got things. Everyone seems really gone, and everyone else that's here seems really pissed.
So,
why are you guys so mad at us?
Grenville conducted an extensive search and interrogated 3 natives, one of which finally related an account of the evacuation. So the fleet returned to England, leaving behind a small detachment of 15 men, both to maintain an English presence and protect Raleigh's claim to Roanoke Island. According to the Croatoan, this contingent was attacked by an alliance of mainland tribes shortly after the fleet left again. 5 of the English were away gathering oysters when 2 of the attackers, appearing unarmed, approached the encampment and asked to meet with the Englishmen peacefully. One of the Native American men concealed a wood sword, which he then used to kill one of the Englishmen. Another 28 attackers revealed themselves, but the other Englishman was able to escape and warn his unit. The natives attacked with flaming arrows, setting the houses that the English kept their food stores in. They just set those on fire, and then forcing the men to take up whatever arms were handy. A second Englishman was killed, and the remaining 9 retreated to shore and fled the island on their boat. They found their 4 compatriots returning from the creek, picked them up, and continued to Port Fernando. The 13 survivors were not seen again. After a difficult journey, White had returned to England on November 5th of 1587. By this time, there were reports of a Spanish armada mobilizing an attack that had reached London. And Queen Elizabeth said, "No one's fucking leaving. In case we go to war, I want you here." So... During the winter, Grenville was granted a waiver to lead a fleet into the Caribbean to attack the Spanish, and White was permitted to accompany him in a resupply ship. The fleet was set to launch in March, but unfavorable winds kept them in port until Grenville received new orders to stay and defend England. 2 of the smaller ships in Grenville's fleet, the Brave and the Roe, were deemed unsuitable for combat, and White was permitted to take them to Roanoke. So, the ships departed on April 22nd, but the captains of the ships attempted to... Thank you. We're down a candle. But the captains of the ships attempted to capture several Spanish ships on the outward bound voyage. And on May 6th, they were attacked by French mariners near Morocco. Nearly 24 of the crew were killed, and the supplies bound for Roanoke were looted, leaving the ships to return to England. Following the defeat of the Spanish Armada in August, England maintained the ban on shipping in order to focus efforts on a counter-armada to attack Spain in 1589. White would not gain permission to make another resupply attempt until 1590. So... The Spanish Empire had been gathering intelligence on Roanoke colonies since Grenville's capture of the Santa Maria de San Vicente. They feared that the English had established a haven for piracy in North America, but were unable to locate such a base. They ended up failing a reconnaissance mission and basically did a whole bunch of shit. But in 1590, a plan was reportedly made up to destroy the Roanoke colony and set up a Spanish colony in Chesapeake Bay. But this was misinformation directed to, or designed to misdirect English intelligence. So, in 1590, there's another relief mission. Eventually, Raleigh arranged passage for White on a privateering expedition organized by John Watts. Fleet of 6 ships would spend the summer of 1590 raiding Spanish outposts in the Caribbean, but the flagship Hopewell and the Moonlight would split off to take White's Colony. At the same time, however, Raleigh was in the process of turning the venture over to new investors. Hopewell and Moonlight anchored at Croatoan, and on the evening of August 15th, while anchored at the north end of Croatoan Island, the crews sighted plumes of smoke on the island. So there were the 13 people that got left. And so they're like, oh, the 13 people are still there. There's smoke.
Yeah, like they had a fire recently, yeah.
Yeah. The following morning, they investigated another column of smoke on the southern end of Croatoan, but found nothing. White's landing party spent the next 2 days attempting to cross Pamlico Sound with considerable difficulty and loss of life. On August 17th, they spotted another fire on the north end of Roanoke and rowed towards it, but they reached the island after nightfall and decided to not risk coming ashore. The men spent the night in their anchored boats, singing English songs in hopes that the colonists would hear. White and the others made landfall on the morning of August 18th. The party found fresh tracks in the sand, but were not contacted by anybody. Now, I'm not gonna say that the tracks were from them.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine they walk on, they look back, and there's steps, there's tracks, guys.
Yes, I could tell. There's tracks here. Possibly a Jeep Grand Cherokee or a Ford F-150 was here recently.
I'm thinking one of the guys walks off and they're like, guys.
they one dude takes a couple steps into the sand, turns back around, and he looks back around, and he's like, I think somebody's following me.
Yeah, just something absurd.
Wait a second. I think there's somebody here.
They also found the letters C-R-O carved into the tree, or into a large tree. Upon reaching the site of the colony, White noted that the area had been fortified with a palisade. Near the entrance of the fencing was the word Croatoan, which was carved in one of the posts. White was certain that these two inscriptions meant that the colonists had peacefully relocated to Croatoan Island, since they had agreed in 1587 the colonists would leave a secret token indicating their designation on a cross patee as a duress code. Within the palisade, the search party found that the houses had been completely dismantled and anything that could be carried had been removed. Several large trunks, including 3 belonging to White, had been dug up and looted. None of the colony's boats could be found along the shore. The party returned to Hopewell that evening, and the plans were put into place to go to Croatoan the following day. However, there's more. They don't have very good luck here at all. Hopewell's anchor cable snapped, leaving the ship with only one working cable and anchor. The search mission could not continue given considerable risk of a shipwreck, so Moonlight set off for England, but the crew of Hopewell offered a compromise with White, in which they would spend winter in the Caribbean and return to Outer Banks in spring of 1591. Guess what? The plans fell through. I feel like I tell you these things, a list of things, and then I'm like, but it didn't happen.
Can't say I'm surprised.
So the Hopewell was blown off course, forcing them to stop for supplies, and when the winds prevented landfall there, the ship was forced again to change course for England. What are we at?
Almost an hour and 30.
We're about halfway through.
Yeah. So
We can...
To recap everything.
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
But I feel like the history of, like, why they were there and all the things that happened gives you a very good perspective.
Yes.
So I was like, we'll have a fucking long episode.
Long episode. So basically, England goes to the Americas.
Yeah.
They find an uncontacted tribe, make friends with them.
Yes.
Betray them, steal their food, kill them. And then natives from those tribes kill them, here and there. They build a fort, and the fucking basic mayor is like, I gotta go home real quick, and fucking disappears for 2 fucking years?
He's like, listen, we'll be back by Easter. We'll be back by Easter. We'll have your supplies. And then just never shows up.
Never comes back. Well, for 2 years.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 years. He just
shows back up, and the Palisades, meaning the giant fortified walls of wood, kind of spiked wood up and around, sees that, and it's like, oh, a nice little fort, and then goes inside. Everybody's gone except for the one tree. This is Crow. This is Croatoan.
On a
Krakatoa or Croatoan.
Croatoan. It was on a wooden sign.
It's on a wooden sign. Croatoan.
Like on the outside of the palisade. So so they made friends, overstayed their welcome, overate, and then we're told, all right, you gotta move on.
Mm-hmm.
And they just decided to do a whole lot of fucky shit. And then when they left for the last time, they were like, you 13, fucking stay.
Remember they brought the 500 back? Remember when that happened? That was the thing they did.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks after, they had originally fled to England on a ship with Drake. 2 weeks later, they were like, we're here with your supply. Oh.
Yeah.
And 400 men. They planned on just repopulating everything.
Yes. So there's a lot of speculation of what happened to the Roanoke Colony
in this 2-year span.
In this 2-year span.
White gets back.
What do you think happened?
I don't know yet. There's some stuff that I don't want to spoil.
Mm-hmm. I have an idea of what happened.
What do you think happened?
Fucking dead.
There's some things that I'll talk about later in the next episode where I'm like, huh.
You're saying they potentially survived?
Yes.
Interesting. I think that everybody got fed up with their bullshit.
There's a specific reason why I think someone survived.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see. Thank you much for joining us on part 1 of the Roanoke Colony. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can at HGOPodcast. Follow us on TikTok at HGOPodcast. You can send us hate mail, love mail, or what do you think happened to the Roanoke Colony at HGOPodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram directly, you can at IHauntTheHaunted. Go check me out. I'm out there sometimes. I post things every so often. Pass it off to Tay.
Hold on. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Lunar Thrill. It's down there. You can also follow our dog at Spirit the Turv. That's it. That's all I got. I don't do a whole lot.
That's fair. And you can also check out our other Instagram that we have. It's for the network, but if you're watching on YouTube, you might already know, but it's Common Chaos Network on Instagram. It's where I can cross-thread post for other shows and stuff we do and other events. You can go check that out there. And if you guys like the HGO Live, let me know, because I'll be happy to do it again, or get back into doing some more Twitch stuff. Possibly, maybe, potentially relaunching HGO Gaming. So, spooky games for the YouTubes. Yes. Where I can shit my pants on camera. But this time, it's funny, and no one gets really sad about it. Other than me. But remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And what happened in Roanoke?